Hey everybody, I'm Heather Brown, Superstar Consultant with Scentsy, and I wanted to come on and share a little bit with you about why I chose Scentsy and how it's changed my perspective in life. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, but first, if you notice me looking down, it's because I'm using notes because I have the attention span of a 2 year old and I will get sidetracked and I have no memory. So, anyway, a little bit about me. I'm married to Randy. We've been together 25 years now. I've been his full time caregiver for the last 15 years. Obviously, never dreamed that my husband would become disabled at a young age. Our children were only 4, 5, and 7 at the time. And I often think about how they don't know a dad who's been healthy. They don't remember him ever being healthy. And that's um, a lot of people think it's sad, but honestly, I think it's helped build our family's character. We obviously know adversity well with everything we've been through in the last 15 years. And we jokingly call me the direct sales queen. Over the last 20 years, I cannot tell you how many different direct sales companies I've tried. I get my products at a discount, loved my products, but realized the business wasn't the income producing business we needed it to be. So I'd eventually just kind of fizzle out. I didn't just like say, oh, I quit. It just, slowly tapered off. But since he's changed my perspective on direct sales companies, I'm going to share a little bit about how it's done that. My Scentsy journey began back in February of this year, which is 2020. My grandmother was burning a jar candle in her bedroom when we noticed a odor of like something was on fire. And thankfully, she was in her bedroom at the time because the glass jar exploded from the heat of the flame. Could have been a huge disaster. Thankfully, it wasn't. A friend of mine was hosting a Scentsy party. I immediately booked my own because we decided no more flames in our house. About halfway through the party, my husband and I had a wish list that was way bigger than our budget. So we decided the best way to get everything we wanted was to buy the kit, the starter kit, and get all the smell goods that we wanted, and it would cost us the least amount out of pocket. Now remember, we've already decided at this point in our lives that there's no money to be made in direct sales. I also self-publish romance novels, and that was my focus. That was my full-time career. But again, we were just going to be kidnappers. We were going to use the product, maybe get a little discount for ourselves and our daughter who also loves Scentsy. And March 3rd, I signed up with Scentsy. March 5th, my husband began dialysis. So we had a lot of changes going on in March already for us. And then my kit arrives around I think it was around the 8th or 9th of the month. Anyway, and our mechanic happened to be there that day. And I was going through the sample testers on my front porch, and I just kept saying, here, smell this. Here, smell this one. By the time we were done, he bought a warmer and 6 bars. And I was like, wow, maybe I should give this a try. All I did was share the smells with him, and he bought them. And I'm like, what if I can recreate that and finally get that supplemental income that we have been looking for the last 15 years? I mean, even my husband was changing his mind at this point. Let me move some of this stuff out of my way. So we've spent the last few years in relative isolation due to my husband's health. Anyway, so when the national pandemic was declared on March 11th, our life didn't change at all. But for the first time, I felt like I was on a level playing field. And it's not because I wanted others to suffer, but I finally felt like I had something I could contribute to others. Because I didn't work outside the home. I couldn't relate to my friends who worked for somebody or raising kids while working full time because I was able to stay home with mine because I was also staying home to take care of my husband. And honestly, I was thriving for the first time in years. I was in the best emotional shape after years of struggling with anxiety, depression, and caregiver burnout. Um, but one of the differences I noticed almost right away between me and most of the rest of the world was that I knew that once something changed, it could never go back to the way it was. Um, Everyone's been viewing this pandemic as this huge obstacle in their lives, and it is an obstacle, don't get me wrong. But there's also so many opportunities. It has brought me the Cincy opportunity. I have had a thriving, growing business along with a thriving, growing team since March. Um, and obviously, we didn't get here overnight. After 15 years of one obstacle after another with my husband's health, it's grown us into who we are today, enabling us to handle adversity probably a little better than most. We were able to raise our 3 kids through poverty, watching each of them take a different path in this world, but knowing they weren't afraid of hard work and knowing that they had not only learned their work ethic from us, but also seeing that they had compassion and empathy for those around them. Our daughter went on to college, attending a private all-girls college that she had wanted to go to since middle school. She worked her tail off through school to get those scholarships. Our sons both chose to go straight into the work field. Both of them work in crazy busy kitchens. Both of those restaurants are very popular locally, but have also made some state and national list of the best restaurants in our area. So it's kind of cool, right? And our middle son, oh my gosh, he can cook, y'all. This mama will never go hungry. But anyway, so we know that normal can look different for everybody. And what a lot of us consider normal is never going to be again. And I know that's hard to hear. Change is always happening. You can either embrace it and grow into a new perspective with it, or you can fight it and hang on to something that isn't meant to be. But back to the way it affected my Cincy journey. My first 2 parties bombed, y'all. I mean, completely bombed, because the same week as my first parties is when everybody got laid off or furloughed. So nobody knew when they, were going to work again. It was just crazy chaos, right? And I looked at my husband and I said, I think I really picked the wrong time to try a new business. So on March 19th, I hopped on a call with Superstar Director Chloe Cox. And you gotta remember, I still have these negative impressions of direct sales from my past experience. And so I was only half kind of really thinking I was going to learn anything from this. I expected to get that smoke blowing up your rear kind of stuff that other top people in direct sales do. And I was surprised because what I saw that night on a Zoom call with these people, I didn't know anybody on this call, y'all. But I saw these women who were at the top of the company crying and struggling to handle their new normal. They were just like you and me. So it totally changed my perspective on what somebody looks like at the top of a direct sales company. It changed my perspective on Cincy. So I came away from that call with a few kind of things floating in my mind. And they were lessons that I had been learning all these years anyway. 1, people matter more than money. 2, there's never an easy fix. And 3, It's time to sit and be still. And I know for some of you, it's perhaps the first time in your lives you've ever sat and just been with yourself or been with your family, because we're go, 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 go society. And it changed how families were relating to one another. In March, I hit my first new consultant goal of shooting star. And then I got my commission that month, and I was like, wow, I made my kit cost back and then some. Not a lot, but enough to make me happy at the time. And of course, as anything with direct sales, not all results are typical. It depends on the individual and how much they're putting into their business. So then in April, SSD Chloe and the other SSDs under her created this weekly program called Guide to Growth. By the time I finished attending every session faithfully each week, I'd hit certified and had 2 new teamies and another commission check that I never dreamed of having. In May, I added my 3rd teamie and triple promoted to superstar consultant, as well as earned Sensational Start Level 3, the highest new consultant award. That commission check was almost $900, and at that point, I was all in. I realized that not only could I make money with Cincy that we desperately needed, I got girl time. I hadn't had girl time, and I can't tell you when. And I got to hang out with people I had not gotten to talk to in ages. I was reconnecting to old friends and even some family that had, slipped off in the busyness of life. But even better, I was able to help others learn and grow in this company. Then June hit and my life fell apart. No, really. On June 7th, my husband, who already has more than his fair share of pain and health issues, slid on a slick spot on our carport and broke his leg in 5 places. He ended up in the hospital for 5 days and finally came home. And on the June 14th, I woke up hearing rushing water and stepped in water because a pipe in the center of our home had burst and flooded our whole house. On June 16th, we moved to a hotel, and we've been there ever since. It's July 29th as I record this, and we've been in a hotel, and we'd only been in this hotel a week when our 5-month-old puppy became sick. We rushed her to an emergency vet and got a call 2 days later that she'd had a heart attack and passed away. Yet through it all, I earned Grow with the Flow Level 2 incentive. It was the first time ever in the history of direct sales ventures I was earning awards and incentives. I was building a team, making money, and helping others. I'm just on the cusp of reaching director, and July has been my lowest month since I joined Cincy. I'm distracted by contractors and house things. I'm depressed because our entire lives are packed in storage and it's no way to run a business or live a life. My PRV is not anywhere where I would want it to be on a normal month. My 3rd consultant's not active. I'm not paid at title, and I'm not getting any closer to that big scary goal of being director by September 23rd, my birthday. I was talking to my husband right before SFR, or Cincy Family Reunion, and I was expressing how I was beginning to doubt myself and what I could do with Cincy. SFR started, I was tuning in, and thank heavens I was. I began hearing stories of other consultants facing obstacles that resonated with me. Pages and pages of notes were written by me with tips, tricks, and inspiration by these ladies and men that were sharing in the breakout sessions. And then the general sessions. The product reveals were exciting, do not get me wrong, because I'm all about some Cincy products. But it was Heidi Thompson's keynote speech that changed perspective for me again. I felt like she was speaking directly to my heart, like she knew me and my struggles. It was kind of cool because my team name is Heart and Sense, because I'm all about getting to the heart of people and building them up, and of course all the smell goods too. I listened as she spoke to tens of thousands of consultants virtually about things that I too felt deep inside. I was truly inspired and totally in my feels as she talked about adversity and obstacles. But when she shared the quote from Stephen Furtick, your perspective will either become your prison or your passport. Listen to that again. Your perspective will either become your prison or your passport. It was an aha moment. See, I was struggling. I felt as everything was crashing down on top of me. Living in a hotel, our entire lives boxed in storage, a home with massive repairs needed, and people trying to get one over us in the process. Who has time for business? Me. Truly, since he has given me a sense of purpose I never thought I would be able to find. I love helping others, and being a team leader allows me to help more people. One of my favorite moments is when my third teammate told me she'd never sell $200 as she signed up, and watching her sell almost $2,000 in her first month and triple promoting to star consultant that same month. I love spoiling my customers with handwritten notes and samples, and found myself unable to do that when we first got here at the hotel, and it left me feeling discouraged. But my customers were still there. They were still supporting us. Since he's given me a sisterhood I only have ever dreamed about and never achieved, not even when I went to church. Women supporting one another, cheering for one another. And I'm going to continue to build that kind of culture on my team. We're not in competition with one another. There's room for all of us at the top with Cincy. So SFR definitely renewed my perspective, and I'm turning those obstacles into opportunity. I've committed to earning a trip to Disney World for my family of 5, even though our children are all adults now. I want to give them the trip to Disney we could never afford when they were growing up because we lived in poverty. Sorry, y'all, I'm getting choked up. I'm going to be a director by my birthday on September 23rd of this year, and I'm going to walk across stage next year at SFR for anything and everything I can. My perspective is giving me an out from the pain I have dealt with. I will overcome the obstacles and turn them into the opportunities that Cincy has made possible for me as a person, as a wife, a mother, and so much more. I want to close with a challenge to you. Is your perspective a prison or a passport? Are you staying in pain instead of focusing on all the good still around you? Would you commit today to focusing on a hope for a better future and not returning to a sense of normal that keeps us separated from family and friends emotionally, while maybe not physically? Will you continue to grow in the new and find the ways to adapt to change instead of fighting to hold on to things that it's time to let go of? Because that's what I'm doing today.